nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job, Charlie. Okay, we'll move on to item number 4, project report. C.G. Schmidt, Dan, you can move that mic.
Right, out at Mill Valley, we're finishing up the site concrete this week, and we'll be paving end of the month. The kitchen hood and the walk-in coolers are going to be installed later this week. We're continuing with drywall and finishes, along with the mechanical reference above ceiling. Looking to have a painter come in toward the end of this week to get started on painting the rest of the walls. Out at the middle school, we got substantial completion last week. We are going to be finished paving the rest of the driveway tomorrow. We got rained out this afternoon. We had 8 loads to go. We'll be done tomorrow. Landscaping is ongoing. By mid-July, that'll all wrap up. Elevator is operational. We had a pre-install meeting with the furniture vendors this afternoon, so furniture installation is going to begin next week. We just got punch list items throughout the building that will be wrapping up in the next couple weeks. Out at Country Meadows, the owner's move out went very well. I think some areas we even had a couple extra days that got us started sooner. Interior demo is kind of winding down. Got all the floor cut open and slabs removed. The plumbing rough in and the new kindergarten rooms is ongoing. We're hoping to pour the rest of the trenches next week. We got like 4 loads of casework already for kind of the south half of the upper level. So casework and painting has already gotten started, and we're making pretty good progress with the reconfiguration of the public restrooms throughout the building. Everything's going great for the first couple weeks of June, and we're doing pretty well. Any questions?
So are we on schedule for a September opening?
Oh, yeah.
All schools?
Yep.
Excellent. Questions? All right. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
So we have some other information here, additional projects. Jeremy, you want to just give an update on some of the other projects going on?
Yeah, so the pool is under construction. They started putting the roof trusses on last week, and they wrapped that up, it looked like today. And they dropped in the pool mechanicals, and now they're going to be closing up the far south wall. So most of the pictures from here on out will hopefully be from inside of the pool as the finishes come together. And now that we have rains like today, they have a contingency plan to work from the inside of the building. There's a corridor that they have to create for emergency access, and then a connection into the cafeteria. So that's still coming along as planned. The bleachers have been closed out. There are a couple of sections of concrete for the football field over here that we will wrap up after the turf is done. The turf is ongoing. The field has been scalped, and the concrete curbing around the entire field has been poured this week. They just finished up the last bit before the rain today. After that, they lay a stone down, which they anticipate will take 2 weeks. And then the carpet itself takes 2 to 3 weeks, which then connects everything together. So they're still on track for their completion in early August as well. We have a bunch of playground movement that happened this past week. So we are installing a new kindergarten playground at Bay Lane Elementary, which is in the lower level behind the south end of the school. That went in, and I think they're working on wood chips now. We're renovating the current playground that was up, the old Country Meadows playground. So we put a couple new structures there. We moved the playground from Muskego Elementary to Mill Valley, so that was the concrete curb was going around that today, and the wood chips were going in there. So a lot of different playground adjustments, and we took the playground from Bay Lane Middle School to Muskego Lakes Middle School, so that's all installed now. In addition, we've been moving a lot, as Dan alluded to move all of the furniture to different places. There are some excess furniture, and we're housing that all at Muskego Elementary for an eventual sale, probably in September. We'll have an auction and a walkthrough for people to pick out any furniture that we have as excess. And then lastly, is more of a little side project. We renovated the baseball dugouts at the baseball stadium. After this winter, the concrete pads that they rested on were heaving, it almost looked like a V, so we had to make a decision to pour a new slab, but then also just created newer, nicer dugouts, so, projects.
Thanks, Jermaine. Just a reminder, the Mill Valley Open House will be September 17th, 5 to 7 p.m. and Muskego Lakes Middle School Open House and ribbon cutting will be Tuesday, August 14th from 5 to 7.
Okay. Agenda item number 5, consent agenda. Mr. Buckmaster.
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda, items A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. In gross, items H, I, and J will be removed for consideration after the superintendent's report.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. I would expect we probably need to motion to approve A through G. First one was just to move 3. So can I have a motion to approve consent agenda A through G?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Move on to student representation, not present. Public forum. Anybody would like to address the school board or any items that they're interested in and would like us to hear about, please step up to the microphone. Anybody interested? Anyone? Okay, public forum is closed. Other reports. I have no report as the acting president. Do we have any board member reports? No board member reports, no committees met tonight, so we have no committee reports. Superintendent's report, Dr. Thompson.
All right, we have the pleasure of recognizing some students, and we're going to start with our Boys Track and Field Award. So, come on up. So we'll recognize our fine athletes first, and then our coach will be able to provide us with, that'd be perfect, with a narrative of your journey. So, we'll start
All right. Okay, the Muskego Norway School Board hereby congratulates Justin Katari for the honor of earning first place in the 200-meter dash, which is a Muskego High School record, first place in the 4x100-meter relay, which is a Muskego High School record, and first place in the 4x200 relay, which is a Muskego High School record and a state record in the WIAA Boys Track and Field. Muskego Norway School Board congratulates Justin for the honor of earning All-American 5th place in the 4x100-meter relay in the New Balance National Track Meet. Muskego Norway School Board commends Justin for his perseverance, team spirit, and commitment to excellence in the sport of boys track and field that has brought honor to himself, his family, the Muskego Norway schools, and our community. Muskego Norway School District hereby congratulates Sam Scholes in the honor of earning first place in the 4x100-meter relay, which is a Muskego High School record, first place in the 4x200-meter relay, which is a Muskego High School and state record. The Muskego Norway School Board also congratulates Sam in the honor of earning All-American 5th place in the 4x100-meter relay in the New Balance National Track Meet. The Muskego Norway School District commends Sam for his perseverance, team spirit, commitment to excellence in the sport of boys track and field that has brought honor to himself, his family, and the Muskego Norway schools and community. congratulates Spencer Reichert for the honor of earning first place in the 4x100 meter relay, Muskego High School record, first place in the 4x200 relay, which is the Muskego High School record and state record. We also congratulate Spencer for earning All-American 5th place in the 4x100 relay at the New Balance National Track Meet. Muskego Norway School District and School Board commends Spencer for his perseverance, team spirit, and commitment to excellence in the sport of boys track and field, and has brought honor to himself, his family, the Muskego Norway schools, and his community. Last but not least, RJ. Muskego Norway School District congratulates RJ Bosser for the honor of earning first place in the 4x100 meter relay, Muskego High School record, 4x200 relay, Muskego High School record and state record. We congratulate RJ for the honor of earning All-American 5th place in the 4x100 meter relay in the New Balance National Track Meet. Muskego Norway School Board commends RJ Bosser for his perseverance, team spirit, commitment to excellence in the sport of boys track and field, and he has brought honor to himself, his family, the Muskego Norway schools, and his community.
Mr. President, members of the board, thank you so much for giving the recognition to these guys. Just an incredible season. These guys put together last season. They were state champions in the 4x200 meter relay. So we knew 3 of those guys were coming back, and they were hungry to do some big things this year, and they did some awesome things. The dedication these guys put in this year was absolutely incredible. Just whatever it took, these guys were willing to put in the time, the effort to get it done. Their times, I think, just kind of put it in perspective here. Their state record in the 4x200 meter relay was a 126.82. These guys averaged about 21.7 seconds each in those 200s, so pretty incredible. When they went to the New Balance National Meet this past weekend, they ran an incredible state record time of 41.12 seconds. That averages about 10.29 seconds per individual. So if you're looking at the Olympics and you're seeing these guys run, some of them are running 10s, and there's a couple that can run 9s. So we have 3 guys here that are averaging about 10.29 seconds, which is absolutely incredible. So as a coach, so proud of what these guys have done. Thank you so much for the recognition here. As you can see from the hardware hanging from their neck, and their smiles on their faces, they achieved quite a bit. So this is just icing on the cake. Thank you very much.
No smiling. Two. Eric, so I want some pictures.
Paparazzi's here again.
Great job, guys. Great to watch.
Okay.
Thanks again. All right, now we have 3 teams that we'll be recognizing for Destination Imagination. So we'll call them up by teams. We have 3 of them. The first is Blood, Sweat, and Socks.
Okay, I'll read one, and then I'll just insert your name in the other ones. You guys did a great job. So first up is Jessica. The school board of Muskego Norway School District hereby commends Jessica Myron, okay, for qualifying to compete in the 2018 Global Finals of Destination Imagination Competition in Knoxville, Tennessee. The competition featured teams, projects by more than 8,000 students from the United States and 15 other countries. This team from Bay Lane Middle School was challenged to perform a project designed to solve a technical problem. Jessica Myron is to be commended for her part in the team placing 4th out of 85 teams in their project titled Blood, Sweat, and Socks. Through the achievement, Jessica has brought honor not only to herself and her family, but to the Muskego Norway schools and community as well. Congratulations, Jessica. And also on our team is Emma Krupke. Jared Itzler. Timothy Day. Jack Forsyth. And Jesse Thompson.
That's great. So who's the lead on your team? Do you want to share a little bit about? Sure. Use that microphone.
So we'd like to thank you all for letting us come here. And so our team did the maze craze problem. So we had to build a maze traveler, which had to travel through a 16-foot by 16-foot maze. And we had to have one prop that transformed and one prop that was removed. That's pretty much it.
Do you want to bring your prop in?
Yeah.
That's a good part of your picture. Not again. It's a present. Oh no! Yeah, don't move his
Okay, 1, 2, 3, I'm gonna keep one more. 1, 2, 3, doubled.
Where's the driver? He's not in his best shape ever. Oh my goodness.
We're not living box.
He's been living in a box for a while.
Right. You know, it's like when you haven't run for a good while, your legs hurt, this is what's happening.
For sure.
Good job.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Our next group is Mayhem Like Us.
No, that's the speaker.
It like.
Yes, you can try it.
But it's not going to do anybody.
The school board of Muskego Norway School District hereby commends Ryan Igluski. How about Brant Vashinsky? Vashinsky?
Yeah, we should hear you.
That's, okay. for qualifying to compete in the 2018 Global Finals for the Destination Imagination competition held in Knoxville, Tennessee. The competition featured team projects by more than 8,000 students from the United States and 15 other countries. This team from Bay Lane Middle School was challenged to perform a project designed to solve an improvisation problem. Grant is to be commended for his part in the team, which placed 27th of 77 teams for the project titled Mayhem Like Us. Through this achievement, Grant has brought honor not only to himself and his family, but to the Muskego Norway School and community as well. The Muskego Norway School Board wishes Grant success in his future educational and career endeavors. And teammate Austin Burbeck. And teammate Austin Bach. And teammate Eli Jorgensen. And teammate Lance Munson. And teammate William Brzicki.
Okay, who's
Karen,
your,
that can get this to
who's your lead? Oh, would you like to speak into the microphone and share the
All
problem?
right, so first off, we'd like to thank you for this opportunity to be recognized by the school board. And so our problem was called the Treasure. It was an improvisational challenge, so we were given 2 minutes to prepare and 5 minutes to create a skit. We were given a cultural treasure, 2 explorers, a setback, and an unusual setting. And we were supposed to create a skit based around that. And our only prop we could use was a bed sheet.
Wow. Any questions?
Good looking group. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, one more. 1, 2, 3, stereo.
Pretty good?
Okay.
All right.
Nice job, guys.
And the last group is Drop the Mic.
Is Elena here? Okay. I see her. Okay. The school board of the Muskego Norway School District hereby commends Elena Spader for qualifying to compete in the 2018 Global Finals for the Destination Imagination competition held in Knoxville, Tennessee. The competition featured team projects by more than 8,000 students from the United States and 15 other countries. This team from Muskego Elementary School was challenged to perform a project designed to solve a fine arts problem. Elena is to be commended for her part in the team placing 32nd of 83 teams with the project titled Drop the Mic. Through this achievement, Elena has brought honor not only to herself and her family, but to the Muskego Norway schools and community as well. The Muskego Norway School Board wishes Elena success in her future educational and career endeavors. Teammate Kaylee Peterson. She had to go to bed early. And teammate Kira Peterson. I think they're on vacation. And teammate Jonah Pearson. And teammate Ariana Letson. And Eric Alferson. Oh. And Charlie State.
Who's your lead? Oh, would you like to share?
We would like to thank the board for giving us this opportunity to come to the meeting. So our challenge was fine arts or change of tune. So what we had to do was to create a 2-act musical that included a spectacle and like a change in plans throughout the story. And then we had to include like lyrics and
And other stuff, right?
yeah.
Singing.
One, two, three. Got it?
Okay, look at like, oh.
Right, good job, Sarah.
Well, enjoy summer, everybody.
You guys just want us all to leave.
You are welcome to stay as long as you like.
Certainly welcome. I got nothing to go over.
So the next item is just to let the board, just to bring your awareness to the fact that boys track and field and girls soccer both won the sportsmanship award from Classic Eagles. So it's great news. And then there's just a list of the contributions to the profession. And that ends the superintendent's.
Okay, we'll move back to number 5, consent agenda, letter H.
Letter H, the MOSH contract. Motion is in order to approve the MOSH contract.
So moved. Oh, we have a motion in there?
No, we'll do them individually. So we
Oh,
have
that's
the
for
first.
consent
Can
agenda.
we have a second?
I second.
Okay. Discussion?
Hi. So the contract is in your packet for review, and Ryan's actually here if you have specific questions. We did talk about this at the last meeting, and I did include the document as to why the recommendation is being made to move to MASH for our athletic training services. So if you have specific questions, I will need you ask them to Ryan.
Is Aurora aware?
I don't have these. Not because I have to speak louder, so we can record it.
What was the question?
Yeah, not officially,
Okay.
but I have not, per our last discussion, I have not said anything on the direction of the board.
Okay. So I think we'll be discussing that with them this week? Okay. Any questions about? Is Aurora aware?
Oh, okay.
That we're moving- No, that we're moving in a different direction. Okay, but their contract is through June 30th, correct, for Aurora? So we'll still have them for a few more weeks here. Okay. Is that right, Julie?
I think we technically got them through the
Through the end of July.
due to summer baseball, so yeah,
Okay,
they'll still be here.
excellent. Okay. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Move on to item 5I, which is the ATI contract. Motion, do I have a motion to approve? Okay. And a second? Julie?
So we had talked about this again at the last meeting. We are looking at direct contracting with ATI. This is something new for our system. Because we're self-funded, we pay the direct cost of all associated services for healthcare for our employees who are on the health plan. By contracting with ATI, we are choosing to allow employees to go to them if they so choose. It's not a requirement, but we have a set rate of $150 per visit, and we are able to send employees directly to them and then pay them directly as opposed to running it through the insurance plan. So that does help save on insurance costs. Because a lot of times, and I included the document for your review as well, and I think we looked at it last time, if they go to some of the other providers, the initial consult, there's a charge. Sometimes there's a referral to the wrong type of physical therapy or the wrong type of doctor, wrong type of specialist, thank you. And so this will allow us to have a free consult, $150 a visit, set rate fee, and we'll always know what our costs are for physical therapy. So this will be available to any employee on the insurance plan as well as any dependents, so spouses and children as well.
So you said this is, they don't have to go here?
No, absolutely not.
What's the incentive to go here for the employee?
That they don't have to pay the co-pays, which are $50 a visit for any specialty care visit through the insurance.
Thank you.
So how will the employees be made aware of this in the beginning of the school year?
So we'll be communicating that out to them in the biweekly, and actually I think we're going to do a separate email to all employees on the insurance plan that are currently, our open enrollment period is July, so when we send out that information, we'll probably include this as well. But we did at the end of the year let them know that this was in the works, it was not yet approved, and they were also made aware of the change in the specialty visit copay before the end of the year, so.
Because our insurance year is September to August.
September 1st, yes.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Consent agenda 5J, scoreboard contracts. Motion to approve. Second. Okay, discussion.
So we reviewed these contracts in closed session as well. So our intent was to be able to find advertising to support the cost of a new scoreboard. And to date, we have the contracts listed here, signed and ready to go for advertising. So did you want me to list those or
Would they
just
want
briefly?
those to be? I would guess they would be. Sure, we can make that.
So we have, our sponsors are Midwest, or I should say our advertisers, Midwest Orthopedic Specialty Hospital Sports Medicine, Pops Kettle Corn, DeWinter Eye Care Center, Maddie's, Summit, and Quick Trip. So those are the contracts that we have to date. We have a few verbal commitments. We would bring those contracts back separately for you. All of the contracts are listed here are the same with the exception of how they wanted their payments split out throughout the year.
So for people listening or look at
Watching
our minutes
TV.
afterwards, basically what we're doing is we are installing a new scoreboard on the football field, which in theory will be completely paid for by donations within a 5-year period.
Correct.
Oh, good job.
Thanks for getting.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yep. Thanks, Ryan. Okay, all those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Now we'll move back to resolution action items. Agenda item 10A.
10A, motion to approve resolution authorizing and approving property schedule number 4 for the master tax exempt lease purchase agreement with Key Government Finance Incorporated.
Okay, discussion?
So this was brought forward to the board at the last meeting as well. The lease documents itself are there for your review as well as the resolution. So what we need is a formal resolution approving the lease for us so that we can take it back to the attorney and actually get the capital lease funding. We do the capital lease annually. We're looking to eventually get out of that business, but for right now, in order to support our one-to-one initiative, our infrastructure, the lease this year is for $750,000.
Questions?
I just want to see the lease document.
Should be attached.
Under the administrative content, there are 2 attachments.
Scroll down a little bit.
Not there.
Everything is frozen.
All right, anything else? All right, all those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Resolution action item 10B, athletic field fencing.
Motion to approve contract for athletic fencing with Century Fence at a cost of $76,177 to be paid for out of fund balance.
So moved.
A second.
Okay, discussion, and if you can walk us through funding.
Yeah, so the last couple meetings, we had talked over some capital budget items for approval or for consideration. One of the things that rose to your guys' interest or to talk more about was the football stadium fencing. So it is rusted, it is, in some places it is blown over at times, and we've had to re-put it up. And the thought is that with the investment in the infrastructure of the concession stands and the restrooms and the now scoreboard and turf, that it'd be wise to have a good sound fence. So in comparison to the rest of the fences on the complex, it's the oldest. I think it's approaching 30 years, where all the other fences were replaced with the prior referendum at the high school. So we bid it out. Century Fence ended up winning. And the funding mechanism, after we went back and looked, this past year we had 2 property insurance claims. One was a gym floor, the other was an electrical outage. And for those claims, they were funded out of the building and grounds budget as they arose. We then received $72,000 from the insurance company. That was less the 2 $10,000 deductibles. That hasn't been used this year, so that's sitting in an expense account. So we would roll that over into fund balance and propose to use that next year or starting July 1st to fund the project.
Did you look at the setup for the fence and where the entrances were? Did you make changes to that from the existing at all?
We haven't made any changes other than we've had a couple openings over here for ambulance access. That'd be on the west side. And we could probably use those to double as like a handicap entrance as well. So other than that, we haven't made any modifications. All of the fencing that we'd replace it with would replace existing fencing, and we would be going with the black coated fencing.
So when would you be looking at installing it? After, like right after the scoreboard goes in, same time?
We probably get, I don't know how long it takes to manufacture if they have it in stock, but we'd probably cut them loose to do it right after July 1st.
As soon as possible?
Yeah.
This is certainly a good element to bring forth in August, along with the scoreboard. To the PC. Yeah. Plan will look favorably on this.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. This will fit in very well. So, but thank you.
Thanks.
Maybe tell them the only way we can do the fence is if we do the scoreboard.
Where we want. I find it rather curious that none of them ever give you like a final, like you had to literally like write it in the tally of each bid that was going through with pencil. I find that kind of odd that the bids actually don't give you a total, that you guys actually like broke down in on the bids.
Yeah, so sometimes when you bid things, it's not always apples to apples. Some guys will give you some things, and we have to call for clarification, so that's our chicken scratch on there to narrow it down. So we always want to validate, so somebody doesn't try to give us like a lowball cost and they didn't consider something. So a lot of times in the bids, we do have to go back to them and make
Yeah,
notes.
because the last one I don't even see, the first two talk about removal of the fencing. The last one, I don't even see that on there.
Yeah, it's way down, almost to the bottom. It says removal and disposal of existing fencing, 2,600, and then the total is on the bottom. The chicken scratch total.
Right, no, that I see, but where do they see?
Just
where-
up a little bit where it says
Oh, I
alt.
see, okay. The 15, so.
Yeah.
A lot of times we'll try to say, if we don't do this, can we do this? So it's not so pigeonholed. So if we come here with one thing and you say, well, can you also do this? We have options dialed into the proposal.
Excellent. I think it's a good investment and fairly low amount of investment to secure $7 million of investment that we put in the last couple of years.
And they're gonna take into consideration what you put in already with that heating and stuff by the.
Yeah, that had to be replaced as part of the bleacher project. So we just planned for the future, and whatever we did with what we would do in the future. So they'll just marry up to it.
Motion and a second. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. On to resolution action item 10C.
Motion to approve insurance renewals with EMC Insurance for property, inland marine, general liability, educators legal liability, commercial crime, auto, umbrella, and workers' compensation, with Liberty for equipment breakdown, and with Beasley for cyber liability for the 2018-19 as listed below.
No second.
Discussion?
So these are the final renewal rates that came through for all of the various insurances that Chris just listed off. You will see the biggest one obviously is the commercial property. 2% of that increase is a result of our property values increasing, and the remaining 8% is a result of the claims that we've experienced over the last year. You will also notice that our workers' compensation went down. The workers' compensation, we went from a 0.75 to a 0.72 mod, and again, a 1 nationwide is kind of the standard rate. Anything below, you save money, anything above, it costs money, so we're doing really well in that capacity. That number also does not include our dividend, which is about $44,000, so we'll also see a $44,000 dividend on top of that. On the document that was included in the packet, the only other item that's on here is something that they just list as a recommendation for identity fraud. Basically, this is a premium that we would pay to cover any of our employees and their families if their identity were to be stolen in any capacity. Then it gives a $25,000 reimbursement in addition to supporting the cost of recovering your identity. So we currently have a free identity recovery service through National Life. But it does not give the $25,000 for reimbursement. It just helps them recover their identity. So this would be an option for us. Again, just recommended. We're actually, I would not recommend it at this time unless the board thought this was something we want to invest in. We could look at it as we move forward as well.
Is that a benefit or something that other school districts are offering to their employees? Because I've never heard of that before.
It is becoming a newer benefit. Okay. So as you see benefits changing and looking at the different benefit options, you do see that as an option. It's very common right now, but it is something that's out there. It's kind of like our employee assistance program that we have through National. It exists, it's free, it gives some support, but it's not the full-fledged. This would be an increase in benefit. So
if we didn't go with this, would we have any?
We do have the free one. As far as employee, there's a support service that helps you recover your identity. It does not provide the $25,000, up to $25,000 per incident to reimburse you for expenses as a result.
And who's that?
National Insurance Services. Mm-hmm. So our overall premiums as a package is going down a couple $100. So So that's like any of our gators or our, if you were to have like smaller, like four-wheelers with plows, or any of that type of equipment. I know it sounds, we don't have any boats, we don't have any marine equipment.
I mean, we have
It's the type of
protection
insurance.
bonds now with the new- So I didn't know if that has.
It's
something to
large
do with it.
equipment.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Okay. So, so we're using M3
Correct.
for all this.
Yes.
That's the one that the WSB insurance policy works with? Did you do that through, just out of curiosity, did you do that through the WSB, or is this, we just contract?
No, this
I
is
don't know if there'd be a savings for going through I don't know if you've checked on that at all. I'm just throwing it out there.
So for property and liability or for health insurance?
Property and liability.
Okay.
Just a suggestion, you want to
Okay.
check, and, right? You'd be better at it, you know what to ask.
We can look into it.
Yeah, because we're going through.
We're
the same
actually,
vendor.
yep, and we're actually bidding out our insurance next year. It's on our PDSA process, so that would be the opportunity to look at brokerage as well as the different insurances and which companies we utilize.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Okay. All those in favor signify by stating
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Resolution action item 10D.
Motion to maintain 2017-18 school lunch prices for the 2018-2019 school year per the schedule noted below.
Second.
Discussion?
So, this is the first year that we're keeping it level?
This is the first year we're allowed to. So if you remember, the federal government requires us to continue to increase prices, but they said to us for the first time this year, if you have a fund balance as of January 1, you can sign a waiver. They still encourage an increase, but our thought is if we're putting money into fund balance, we shouldn't have to increase. So we applied for the waiver, and we're going to keep them the same for this year. I don't know if that will continue in the future, or we'll have to go back to increasing, but we'll take advantage while we can.
Going forward, though, I'd like to see a little longer history than just last year's, or actually it would be this year's proposal. Just, I mean, it's going to be the same last year, obviously. Just going back a few years, just to kind of get an idea of what we had for.
Okay.
And I know most of it's driven by federal guidelines.
It's required. Mhm.
Yeah. So,
I know when my son started kindergarten, it was 210. And that was in 2005.
yeah, so it's not bad, but
No,
still,
it
it's
has gone up
nice
too
to know
much.
we're trying to do.
Anything else? Okay, all those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Resolution action item 10E.
Motion to approve the purchase of a dishwasher from Kessinich's at a cost of $68,078.73 for the school lunch program.
So,
Second.
Discussion?
Again, our dishwasher at the high school is on its last leg. We don't want it to break in the middle of the year. We do have a $495,000 fund balance in the food service account. We can only use that to support equipment and other things for the food service program. So we would recommend utilizing the fund balance from the food service account to support the cost.
Do they take the old one?
They do.
So are these all very, I'm assuming they're all very comparable in terms of the quality?
Yes. There's a very specific level we have to be at in order to support the program and the needs that the high school has. So yes.
I mean, if the one from Bolter is 100% stainless steel in the last 300 years, it'd be worth it to pay a little extra. That's why I'm just making sure that we're getting the best value with our.
I think they're all comparable. Colleen has come forward with other recommendations in the past where she has recommended a higher price item because of that, but she, in this instance, did not make the recommendation.
So when we go out to bid, do we just go for price, or do we actually
No.
kind of research?
No, we look for the specific equipment, the needs that we have, the quality that exists. I mean, there's more than just pricing on these.
I noticed that though, it's always lowest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And which is great.
Yeah, I know, I'm not complaining either, but I did notice, it's like always.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's okay to pay a little bit more to get something that's better quality and stuff, so I get that, but.
Tony will bring you stuff that's not always
I tried.
gentlemen.
Thanks for staying.
Anything else? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Discussion item, 2018-2019 budget.
We wanted to just talk a little bit about Fund 46. So as part of the budget process moving forward now, we would like to ensure that we have a line item in the budget to support a transfer from general operations or, utilizing fund balance that we may have at the end of the year and move that into Fund 46 so that we can begin not only costing out like what the turf will cost in the future, but also just looking at general maintenance. So just for a little bit of history from a school district perspective, if we ever wanted to set money aside for something, we had to roll it into fund balance. And when you use fund balance, the way that we're funded as a school district, because of how we're valued by the state, when we use fund balance, it actually increases our tax levy in the future. So we have to kind of be very careful on how we're using fund balance. This allowed us for the first time to expense it in this year, so it'll come out of this year's budget, or in this case, next year's budget. And then we won't have to worry when we actually spend it about it having an impact on the tax levy. So it kind of lets us build that bank that everybody thinks we should have, but we never really could have.
Did that come through the state?
Fund 46 is a fund set by DPI accounting standards. Yes, and so it just came out a couple years ago. If you established the fund, you had to put money in, establish it for 5 years. So in 2020, we'll finally be able to tap into it if we want. We have about $126,000 in there right now. So we'll be, just so you are aware, we'll be putting money in. We don't recommend, we usually at this meeting recommend putting money in from our current year budget, but because we're using fund balance for so many projects right now, we're going to use what we can out of operations before we touch fund balance. So we don't recommend putting anything in Fund 46 until next year.
So just to get an idea, if we didn't do this, and we put that 35,000 just rolled into fund balance instead of Fund 46, when we go to pull that out for say turf replacement in 20 years?
2020.
Well, we can start in 2020, but in 10 years if we'd have to make a replacement.
Well, plan for turf replacement.
Sure.
So let's say it'll be used for turf. How much would we lose at that time?
We wouldn't, because it's expended in our budget.
Right, no, but I mean, if we waited till then, how much would it impact the tax levy, like $1,000?
I'd have to bring that number back,
okay.
yeah.
I thought there might be just a rough idea.
No. And it really depends on the tax, the year, the funding, how that's happening at the state level. That all impacts tax levy, so.
I didn't know if you could think, 10% of whatever we spend goes.
I could figure it out and make some estimates 10 years out, but.
I'm curious, but it's not something you should have a priority on.
This is a great fund for us to be able to plan for the future.
Absolutely.
Not have it impact our fund balance.
We just know it will never negatively affect our, thank you.
And there's no possible way to take it out before 2020? So we don't
No.
want to
By law.
Yeah.
By law, we cannot.
So once you put in, you can't take out, there's no penalty thing?
So for the first 5 years, we have to leave it sit, but in 2020, no matter what we put in or take out, it's open. So it's not like this year, we have to wait 5 years. It was just the establishment, 5 years out, and then it's free every year to come and go as we please. Yeah.
So in 2020, would it make sense to try to jump a year ahead and put capital improvement money into that fund in 2020 that we know we're going to spend in 2021?
If we have it in the budget, yes. If we're using fund balance to do it, it depends on the tax levy impact.
You're going to pay them now or we pay them later? If we pay a little bit now, it hurts a lot.
But I see what you're saying.
No, I understand, but what I'm just saying is if we know we're going to spend so much on capital improvements in 21, put it in there in 20, and take it out of 46 and 21.
We could do that. If we have the money so like in 2019-20, we'd have to put the money in out of the current budget, so it couldn't be fund balance.
Right.
The other thing that we do use to take advantage of our negative tertiary status, though, is Fund 41. So that's where we put all of our capital projects now. And what that does is it lets us amortize the cost of that, so the impact is amortized over a number of years as opposed to just that 1 year. So we try to use as much as we
what
can.
would be better, putting it in 41 or 46?
I could run an analysis to see, for sure.
I know that it would take 1 year of sacrifice to get 1 year ahead. But if it's it's financially.
It's beneficial to us.
Beneficial to do 46 instead of.
I can run a comparison, and when we bring back, I could do it as if we were to do it next year, just as an example, and I can bring that back when we look at the budget for 18-19.
Is there a maximum that you can put in there?
No,
Really?
no, it's whatever,
So
but
you
it,
get what I'm saying,
Yes, I do.
basically take your savings from
Yeah.
this year that you're gonna spend on,
Right.
right,
they're building your capital budget.
save yourself some tax or some.
Right.
Jeremiah's excited.
Well, it's interesting to see, to have it come about, like this 146, like, where did that, this,
Well, what
You know what I mean?
what happens is, everybody would say to schools, you have all these maintenance issues, you're going to referendum, how do you not take care of things, how do you not save money? Well, we can't save money without impacting taxpayers, like, we just couldn't, the way that the formula was designed, so I think, maybe enough.
We're making capital.
Right, right, so I think enough lobbying probably helped to support that.
Okay. We should have been lobbying.
So especially if you're saving, like we had, $22 million in our fund balance, well, kind of shoot us in the foot a little bit.
Right.
If we're trying to use that out of fund balance.
Yep, so I will do that analysis, just so that we have that and we can plan.
I don't know.
DPI, just in general.
They can still change it.
Yeah, right.
The year before we do it, they've always changed it.
We'll let you again if you pull it.
Yeah, yeah.
It almost
So-
seems like you shouldn't be able to do what I'm suggesting.
Mhm. Yeah, but you can, just like any school could, if they want to, put all of their debt payments in their general operations. Like, if you want to choose to make your loan payments instead of putting the money in the classroom or anything else, you can choose to operate it in any way that you want. It's just, as long as it's,
And some probably do if they don't have much debt.
or if they didn't go to referendum. And they built a school or something.
Yeah, I guess that's a great example.
But they would already have a pretty high
Yes.
spending amount per, I think they're the highest in Waukesha County at the time, per student.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else under budget? I think one thing that I would like to see is, now that we've had, we're using fund balance for things this year, and we were concerned a while back as to what our fund balance level needed to be to not short-term borrow. I think it would be nice during our upcoming budget discussions to have a spreadsheet to indicate with what we have left to spend out of fund balance for certain projects, or some things have changed where we're not spending it. Where we perceive we'll be at in September, October, November, December, January, February, until we get our taxes, how close we're cutting it.
I feel like it's a health, like where you put money aside, it's not getting taxed on your health. What is that called when you can put money into a health account?
Like a flex spending account?
Yeah, that's what I feel like this kind of feels like. Because you're not getting, I don't know. It's a good thing.
So I can do something similar to like the monthly financial report where I'm putting actuals, but we can do projections for what we would spend monthly.
Anything else? Anyone? Okay, information follow-up, A, B, and C. Anybody have questions or concerns or anything else?
Well, I think Tony's expecting me to ask a typical question.
Sure. If you don't mind, I'll make that assumption and just start speaking about fiber. If I'm wrong, let me know.
Fiber in your diet?
Yeah, the update is that we're fortunately starting the work to finally connect Lakeview Elementary. As you know, we were waiting on permitting from Racine County for that to happen. Sadly, in between the time that we had originally laid the pathway and then received the permitting and resumed work, another company had laid their fiber in the spot where we were supposed to go. So we had to cross the road. Not a big deal, but that pushed back a little bit of it. So we still have to get some markings for gas in a few other areas. That just happens, I guess.
So how could the county not?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's the whole purpose of county.
It's thankfully not catastrophic, but it certainly caused some variation in the pathway. So, but still, I did talk with our person from MC&E, Dan Becker, who most of you have met, and said, do you feel that this project will wrap up in a week, 2 weeks, a month? He said 2 to 3 weeks is his anticipation of when the project would finally close. And again, just to reiterate, we are connected and live, thanks to our work with Brian Busak, our network administrator. We have a live signal running between here and our new middle school, with switching already in place. So the next steps will be our wireless access points. Of course, our phone system needs to get installed and going. So a lot of things happening, but thankfully, the work to get that connected and live is finally here. So, big step. And that's pretty much the most of it for that update.
Anything else? All right, motion to adjourn.
So,
All right, we are adjourned at, all in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Opposed? We will adjourn on a 6-0 vote at 8:29.